In line with the President's directive on restriction of movement in Abuja, Lagos and Ogun states, the military has announced its preparedness to enforce the order. The acting spokesperson of the Directorate of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, who addressed the news conference in Abuja, stressed the need for members of the public to adhere to the order, which is aimed at curtailing the spread of COVID-19. General Enenche also explained that the only military officer to contract the virus is recovering at the isolation center located at the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital in Gwagwalada. Let's cross over to Abuja now, and here's Linda Akigbe. Linda.
Hello, Ijoma. We continue with stories in COVID-19. Now, lawmakers in the Senate are contributing 50% of their salaries to the efforts to contain the spread and treatment of coronavirus in Nigeria. The acting spokesman of the Senate, Senator Godiya Kwashiki, says the contribution will take effect from this month and will be sustained until Nigeria is declared safe from the disease. The lawmakers also commend the efforts of President Muhammadu Buhari towards securing the country against this plague, with an assurance that the Senate is willing and ready to do whatever is required in terms of legislative processes to win the fight against COVID-19. And more prominent persons and individuals are joining the fight against COVID-19. And the latest is the Mike Adenuga Foundation, with the donation of 1.5 billion naira to support government. According to the foundation, 1 billion naira will go to the Central Bank of Nigeria, which is coordinating efforts to raise funds from corporate bodies to support the initiatives aimed at combating the COVID-19 in Nigeria, while the Lagos state government will get 500 million naira for recording the majority of the cases of COVID-19. To actualize its promise, the Executive Vice Chairman of Globacom, Mrs. Bella Disu, presented the 500 million naira check to the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in Lagos on Monday, while an official of the foundation presented the check for 1 billion naira to the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, in Abuja. Apart from its financial contributions, the foundation says it would continue its ongoing efforts to assist various bodies and institutions in the country with the supply of essential items such as sanitizers, masks, test kits, personal protective equipment, respirators, and other necessary requirements to combat the pandemic. And the president is also sending words of appreciation to some individuals and organizations who have been supporting government's efforts at containing the spread of COVID-19. The president says he appreciates the kind gesture of captains of industry, corporate entities, missionaries, musical artists, and individuals who have consistently supported ongoing efforts to mitigate the pandemic. He notes specifically the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, which donated $30 million, which is over 11 billion naira, and other prominent Nigerians, political and religious leaders, and corporate organizations. He also gave the assurance that the funds will be properly utilized to check the effect of the virus and reposition the healthcare system. And the Redeemed Christian Church of God has also donated medical supplies to the mainland hospital in Yaba, Lagos. The faith-based organization, through its social responsibility initiative, His Love Foundation, announced the provision of 200,000 hand gloves, 8,000 hand sanitizers, and 8,000 surgical face masks to protect medical personnel working to fight against the deadly disease.
The Redeemed Christian Church of God joins the list of other benevolent Nigerians and organizations helping the government to curtail the spread of coronavirus in Nigeria. The church is donating medical supplies to the mainland hospital in Yaba, Lagos, where one of the isolation centers is located.
We are giving out 200,000 hand sanitizer, 8,000 surgical blades, and 8,000 mask. This mask, and what has informed this is to just give back to the society and to support the effort of both the Lagos state government and the federal government and all the effort of the international organizations that have made contribution to the fight of the pandemic that is ongoing globally.
This donation is in addition to other support given by the church to improve healthcare delivery in the country.
Redeemed members are in families, and every home happens to be a church. Father, mother, maybe a child, two children, three. So we have this hierarchy of reaching to them in their home, and we've started doing that by the grace of God since the commencement of this pandemic, and we still hope to do more.
The NCDC response team acknowledges the gesture on behalf of the Lagos state government.
We have been having donations from voluntary organizations, and then now we are having from a religious organization. It shows the importance they attach to us containing this particular outbreak. So it's the Lagos state government, through Mr. Governor and the Honorable Commissioner for Health, appreciate the gesture of the Redeemed Christian Church of God.
The medical supplies were presented to the Lagos state government to support on-site operations, and they are expected to help protect health officials in the front line of the COVID-19 crisis.
Less than 24 hours after the chairman and vice chairman of Farm for Oil, Modukwe and Folorunsho Alakija, donated 1 billion naira to the fight against COVID-19 in Nigeria, the Rose of Sharon Foundation, founded by Mrs. Folorunsho Alakija and its board of trustees, is giving out 25,000 naira to each of its registered widows and orphans in the country's 6 geopolitical zones. This donation, according to the foundation, is in response to the outbreak of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The foundation says it wants to make sure that none of its beneficiaries go hungry, as 90% of your daily income is derived from trading activities. The foundation says it is also aware that widows are vulnerable as they have to take care of their families as sole breadwinners, while orphans have to fend for themselves. The beneficiaries have been drawn from all the states in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, namely the North Central, Northwest, Northeast, South-South, Southeast and Southwest. And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Anne, in Lagos for business news.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Linda. Welcome to Business News. We begin with key financial services being exempted from the 14-day lockdown declared in Abuja, Lagos and Ogun by President Muhammadu Buhari to curb the spread of coronavirus in the country. The exempted institutions include the Central Bank of Nigeria, deposit money banks, the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System, switching companies, mobile money operators, and payment solution service providers. According to a joint statement released today by the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank, the exemption, which followed an appeal, will enable banks render minimal services in the country's financial system within 2 weeks of the restriction period. The President has named Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo as the head of the Economic Sustainability Committee that will implement strategies to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians in the wake of the novel coronavirus. The committee is expected to take care of the economic challenges and the fallout of the pandemic and the resultant movement of restricted movements in some parts of the country. Aside developing further palliatives, the committee will also develop a sustainability plan on repositioning the economy and growing the non-oil sector. Members of the committee include the Ministers of Finance, Budget and Planning, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, the Minister of Labour and Productivity, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, the CBN Governor and the GMD of the NNPC. And let's head to the Nigeria stock market. It has ended today's trading session with even wider losses as massive sell-off is still hitting share prices of telecoms giant MTN Nigeria and some Tier 1 lenders. Let's hear more from Temple Ashaju.
Thank you so much and welcome to Stock Market Report. The equity market commenced the week with a decline of 243 basis points in the key benchmark indices, leaving the equity capitalization at 11.11 trillion naira, and that's due to a 10% sell-off on the telecom giant MTN Nigeria. Now, top on the activity chart for this period was a 200 million shares traded off Maya PLC, leading to a total 466 billion units of shares for a value of about 2 billion naira, and all that took place in 3,659 deals. The banking stocks, consumer goods, as well as the insurance segment of the market were the main drags for the session. But MTN Nigeria emerged the main loser for the trading day, offsetting the gains that we had seen on bigger pains, just as the NSE announces plans to sustain remote trading throughout the 14-day lockdown period. And that's it on the Stock Market Report. I'm Temple Ashaju.
And we hope for more rebound, but that's it on Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Joma.